Hello! It is time for another Gateway to Geats. I am Boingo Writer, and this is the video you're watching. Hey, hey, hoo hoo! Last time, Punk Jack was done as like a little side video because there was a lot to talk about, and it wasn't really connected to anything. However, this time, because it really does do a nice, interesting thing of compare and contrast characterization, we're going to be talking about the Tycoon special and episode 41 together in this video. Enjoy! Because in episode 41, it is the ultimate dismantling of Keiwa as a character, of how we kind of view the character, how we kind of see the character, and just breaking down bit by bit what he is, who he is, how he is, okay? Mainly through the shady actions of people in power, through, I would say, the lens of the entertainment industry, just continuing on that thing. Because we get a scene with the new Game Master, and straight up with the suit and the baton and the way everything was choreographed, dude looks like he's from the Yakuza games. And it's fascinating, it's great, and basically he tries to physically intimidate Ace and Win to back down. Like, you know, how real Yakuza people treat aspects of the entertainment industry. Like, it is, I wouldn't say it's a unspoken secret, but it's a common thing that the Yakuza, organized crime, does have influence over aspects of the Japanese entertainment industry, whether that be video games, such as brief stints influencing arcades and whatnot, or the fact that literally an entire MMA organization was basically taken down because of its ties to the Yakuza, and just a variety of ways that criminal activity can impact the entertainment industry. And this is what this guy is feeling like. And like, we also talked about Kekera kind of being that way too. And notice, like, all these different guys, all these different, like, powerful, important people who are in control of the DGP, they're dudes in very flashy suits. And I wouldn't say that's like a one-to-one with the Yakuza, but from at least a Western perspective, where the Yakuza, as I know it, is usually from entertainment, from the video games and from movies, the big, bright, flashy suits is kind of a red flag, you know? But not even that. We also have Daichi being Daichi, continuing on his Yamato domination bullshit. Michinaga is also over here, not sure exactly what to do, and thus in his unsureness is continuing to hurt people because, like, yeah, he doesn't know any other way, and the guilt is killing him. The guilt is just rising up, and he is not handling it well. I don't think hallucinations are a way to handle things well. Or if it's not a hallucination, dear God, Sarah's a ghost. We also have Neon going to try and talk to her dad, basically going like, hey, is there any way you can make me a Kamen Rider again? And he is not in a good place. He is definitively off his rocker. He tries to guilt her into a variety of different ways and basically says like, hey, get me out of here, get me out of here now. And Neon just pities him for a moment and just goes like, yeah, no, if your daughter didn't die, you would probably be in a different place. And he's just breaks down of like, yeah, I would be. And it's just like, love's a hard thing to come by, you know, all that kind of things. All the while, Kekera pushes Keiwa into making bad decisions. It is very much the only way I can, like, the ways I can describe it are like too extreme, but it's like, it's a dealer pushing an addict into doing more. It is a producer, an agent saying one more roll, you can stay up all night, you can get by on no sleep, all these different kinds of things, pushing someone to make the bad decisions that benefits them. Kekera ultimately does not care about Keiwa as a person, only Keiwa as entertainment, only as Keiwa as a conceptual idea. He does not have the empathy, and thus he can push Keiwa into making these very, very bad decisions because it's good for him. Because Keiwa's lost. He's lost and is consumed by grief, and he's being taken advantage of, to the point he basically kidnaps Mori right after a scene where she resolves to basically make her own choices, not be beholden to the people who made her. You know, very much reflective of Neon's story, to an extent Wen's story, to an extent Michinaga's story now, not being holden on to his past version of himself. Hopefully this also latches on to Keiwa, you know, that kind of like, your desires are not planted in stone, all these different kinds of things, so on and so on and so forth, you know. And he basically tricks her, forces her, and to an extent, to give him a power-up to take revenge. He goes on a brutal attack and takes down Buffa, and like, just brutal efficiency, no pizzazz, no whimsy of earlier Tycoon, none of the, like, literally the belt says only what it needs to says. It's not big flashy attacks, he's just hitting him with a sword, and boy howdy. However, we have the Shinobi special. Keiwa here is just classic Keiwa. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. He's trying to do good. He doesn't think everything through because, you know what, he's a little bit shonen pro tag, so on and so forth. He is sent to the Shinobi world, right? And he goes on a wacky adventure. He helps out Shinobi. He saves his sister. He saves Shinobi's sister. The best way I can describe it, it's a very, like, mid-Heisei Showa-esque kind of episode. It feels just like a random episode of Forze. It feels like a random episode of, like, early O's, Double. You get what I'm saying? It's Deno. It's that kind of happy-go-lucky, we're having fun here adventure. And in this context, Keiwa seems hyper competent. He's like a little confused and he's trying to figure things out, but like, he figures things out. He's able to help everybody because this world fits him like a glove. He's working with others that is just like pure ideological justice. There's nothing else there. It's just pure do good, good happens. And he helped Shinobi save his sister, save both sisters. And ultimately, this is also reflective of the fact that Keiwa can't do it later. He's able to save someone else's sister, but he's not able to save his own. And he's a big damn hero of this little story. And everyone does a big fancy rider kick and so on and so forth, right? The powers in the DGP are abusive. Whether it's through violence with the new Game Master, whether it's psychological warfare with Daichi, or if it's traditional neglect and abuse like Neon's father, or it's the simple lies of narcissistic compliments and egging and pushing and manipulation like Kekera. It's all these different ways to take advantage and get what you want at the detriment of others. But in the Shinobi Tycoon special, it's a great counterpoint to the fall that Keiwa is going through. See, people have been saying, whether it's through comments here or comments other places, Tumblr, Reddit, wherever, Keiwa is a very good man. He's just not a great hero. Because ultimately he's short-sighted. He can't see through everything. It's black and white more often than not. The nuance gets lost. And this shows why, because his worldview is simple. It is good, it is bad, it is black and white. And in earlier Kamen Rider, in the Shinobi world, you don't need that nuance. In a simple world, he is a true hero, but that's not the story Geats is. Geats is not a simple world, and ultimately how you handle loss and grief and who you are as a person, that's what makes you a hero in Geats. Ace is able to deal with the eons of unsureness and revival and reincarnation. Michinaga is able to grow past his initial grief, and he's still struggling. I wouldn't say he's moved past it completely. He's being haunted by what he's doing now, but he's being haunted. Before, he didn't have that guilt. Neon trying to deal with who she is, Sumori making the decision to actually live for herself, Win making the decision to do the right thing, so on and so on and so forth. That's what makes you a hero in Geats. And Keiwa is going through the hardest version of that for him as a character. And I have hope that he will be able to come through in the end. These two episodes were amazing. It's a great 1-2 look at Keiwa as a character, and the disparity between these two like character arcs on point. The Autosuit action was also great in episode 41. The story is going some very interesting places. I'm intrigued to see what happens. But people watching Geats, please, for the love of God, let the next episode air before you start calling it shit. Okay? Just 1-1, please do that for me. Your good pal, Boingo Writer. And if you want to do some more things for me, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to this video, this channel, do all the things. It really helps me out. Share this video with people you think would find it interesting. You can also follow me on a variety of social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Boingo_Writer. You can also follow me on Tumblr. Link is in the description. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Boingo Writer. However, we're in a kind of a holding pattern because I'm just trying to build up some creative juices and see what I want to do there. But, in the meantime, we have some comments. And like I said, with the Punk Jack special, I was going to do them in the next episode, in the next Gateway to Geats. So, here are some comments from the Punk Jack special. I'm going to be honest, while I did like the special, there were a few, hold on, it'd help if I actually read their names out. I am so sorry. From Toanui, I'm going to be honest, while I did like the special, there were a few elements that kind of felt a little inconsistent to me. Specifically, the memory wipes because of situations like the Grand Inn, where Buffa and Keiwa immediately lose their memories the second their drivers disappeared. Other than that, however, I thought it was fine, and explains that Punk Jack actually survived the whole exploding ordeal, so it's even more reasonable to me that he was brought back. Yeah, the whole memory thing is a little bit wonk. It works to me because it works within the logic of the emotional storytelling, if not the empirical storytelling. By that I mean, that moment made sense emotionally. In the context of like how the world works, it doesn't work, but you win some, you lose some, and I think sometimes emotional storytelling is more important than the logical storytelling, if that makes sense, you know? Next up from Flame Ita. Ita? I'm gonna go with Ita because of another comment you posted. Hold on, let me double check. Flame Ita. Yeah, Flame Ita. Look, I'm trying. I don't want to mispronounce things. Punk Jack special owns my whole heart. I adore the concept of the sparks and that it furthers how much loss is funneled into the goddess. Side note, when calling them players' souls gave me such Madoka energy. I find it funny that Geats has more in common with Madoka than Gaiam. Also, the way we see early on that Samori is uncomfortable with the whole situation between this and episode 38 through 40, it really drives home how little agency she's been given by the rest of the staff. I hope we see more of her soon. Oh boy, you did get, like, we had her full on just going like, yeah, no, I want to make choices myself this episode. And that's phenomenal, right? That's just like, ooh, that's really interesting. Yeah, the whole dealing with, like, and you know, holy shit, reflecting on what we happened in this episode, the loss and grief and that kind of thing, like how that fundamentally changes who you are and your wants and desires. That's a very interesting way to look at desire that that Geats is dealing with, right? You know? This special really did, the Punk Check special really did add a lot of interesting nuance. In the show hasn't explicitly said, but the DGP is really deal with the devil, because I don't think anybody has truly been happy dealing with any of this, you know? Because it's always about furthering the DGP goal, and the people getting anything from it are just suffering in it all. It's all Faustian bargains. Because, like, even Kyun and Zine are just, like, regretting the decisions to be part of this whole operation, right? But, finally, for the Punk Jack special, we have Esconde. Really dig the details we got from this special. I wasn't expecting that the memory wiping was a manual process that the DGP management does for each losing player, specifically, and even racing evidence of players who fail the mission. Seeing the security team take Michinaga away after Toru died. I like what this brought to Win's character. Him literally rocking with Beat was awesome. Hopefully, in addition to working to keep the peace in Ace's DGP, Ace restoring the memories of all the previous rider also happened to be Win's bandmate, and maybe at the end of the series we could get a snapshot of them restarting the band sometimes. Oh boy, could they restart the band? It's like, oh hey, Ace and Neon, two very popular people, could you promote our band? Could you just, like, say, like, hey, we're going to the show? Immediately they would have a record deal. Just like that. And I think that's kind of funny. And ultimately, the special really takes the magic away from the DGP. Like, the scenes where we see the machinations are all clean, but boy, they're grimy. They're grimy because of what they're doing to people, you know? And it's just, it's that removal of the air of innocence, of the magic, you know? And it's just like, oh no, we're torturing people. We don't give a shit. That just kind of, like, really reframes everything that's been going on, you know? But, hey, that's all we're going to talk about for the Punk Check special. Let's talk about last week's Gateway to Geats comments for episode 40. Damn, my man got... Jesus, I did it again. From the Vicuminator. Damn, my man got the Grant Morrison reading on this one. Look, I fall into the Grant Morrison rabbit hole often. And here's the thing. It's not a rabbit hole you should fall into. Grant Morrisonian looking at fiction is weird and wonky, and you need to be in the right headspace for it. Don't do it. Read Grant Morrison. Their work is great. Do it. But, just know it goes places. Next up, from Fish Pop. Damn it, another new form that doesn't show up until the very end of the episode, and rest in peace, Keiwa sister, I guess. Also, wow, there's only a maximum of 10 episodes left, since Kamen Rider Super Sentai seasons tend to stop at 50 episodes. Oh yeah, the next episodes are going to be fucking jammed-packed. It's just going to be back to wall-to-wall action and twist. It's been slow, and now we're ramping up super fast. And yeah, we only got the upgrade for like a few seconds last episode. They made it worth it because goddamn the visuals on that scene, it was spectacular. Next up, from Slime Beast. Oh, okay, so it's like the Spider-Man thing where they keep beating him into the fucking dirt till he's at the level you find diamonds in Minecraft. Kekara is basically Marvel then. /J. Also, Ned Sparrow has gone knucking futz. I agree with them being knucking futz. Thank God Toei hasn't made fucking Paul. Fuck Paul. Fuck them kids. Fuck them kids. Can you tell I've been reading Spider-Man for No Prize Podcast? Don't do it. Worst decision of my life. Next up from Toei Nui. So I don't know why I thought Sarah would be saved in the time, considering the few writer seasons I was informed the writer worked on, but I definitely didn't think she would be killed. That said, I have a suspicion she'll be resurrected by the end, considering wishes and all that. Although, on the topic of her death, I'm kind of getting the vibe that Keiwa's anger is going to be misplaced on Michinaga. I think I finally remembered his name, now that we're nearing the end, instead of the rightful subject that is Nej. And I definitely get the feeling that Keikara is going to push Keiwa in Buff's direction just to stir the pot. On a bit of a side note, I am a tad disappointed that the previous Next Time On segment previewed Keiwa's new form, and it only showed up for like 5 seconds at the end as ominous foreshadowing. On the topic of Keiwa's new form, I wonder if it's going to be Keikara Tsurumi that grants it to him, as I can see Keikara using the card he got to supply him with a new toy, but I'm pretty sure it's looking like Sumeru is making a wish that could be a new source of power for Keiwa's revenge. Although, if it is Sumeru, I hope it will be more of a case of powers gone awry than intentional, because wishing the sister back would probably be the better use in that situation. Yeah, it would have been the better use for Sumuri, but here's the thing. Keiwa just thinks she's dead, and that there isn't a way to bring her back. But you know what would be really satisfying? A nice, good cracker of revenge. With cheese on top. So he's gonna cheese it. And yeah, you were totally on the nani with Michinaga, Keikara, Keiwa, the whole shebang. It is just Keikara pushing Keiwa in the direction to mess with the soul situation, to attack Michinaga, and to mess with all of them, because he also messes with Sumuri, just knocking up Ace's plans, just in full, right? And it is messing with a man who's not in his right headspace. It is very scummy material, because he's grieving, he's not in the good place, and hey Ace, hey Neon, you probably should have went to the apartment to check up on him. You didn't. That's come on. Ace, Neon, I both realize you're dealing with all this shit really, really well, because you don't have that deeper connection to the world. Keiwa isn't dealing with it well. Please and thank you. Help a little buddy out. Right. Next up from Flame Ita. Finally watched this. My name is Flame Ita, by the way. Hopefully I am saying it correct. As for the episode, I wonder if Keiwa is playing the villains or not. He claimed to be the same person as Knuckles cracking mimics Ace's snap. More importantly, Sumori is fun because I think Ace asking is the first time Sumori ever granted a choice. The shopping date was fun, and the way Keiwa manipulated her was heartbreaking. BTS has hinted that Keiwa's demon is involved. Maybe that explains any discrepancies in characterization. I love how everyone in the show responds to grief differently. Ace is moving forward to honor his mother's memory and legacy as her free and true successor. Neon is confronting her past and trying to fight even still. Keiwa is spiraling, hard and desperate, for a chance to bring back his family, and Michinaga is falling back into old habits, complete with the ghost of his regrets. Keiwa's motivations being tied to his sister kills me. Keikara isn't wrong in a way, because Keiwa's always calmed down when angry if his sister was there. Without her, his true colors are showing, and right now those colors are desperation. I just hope we can see him move forward. Keiwa's situation is just a giant, interesting cluster. Because, like, you can totally sympathize with him. You look at what he's doing and you go, like, yeah, man, that's fucking rough. Because, like, how would any of us react to the death of someone we fucking care about, right? And, like, we can see it from the outside of being taken aback by his actions. But, like, we were egging this on. We wanted to see this. And now we're confronted with the actual empathetic grief that he's going through. it's not necessarily like we're second guessing our choices because we wanted to be confronted with this, right? We want this confrontation of emotion and empathy and all these different things to see it through Keiwa, right? To see it, what is a hero, what is a Kamen Rider, what is all these different kinds of things. If you have a hard time moving through loss and grief, right? And ultimately, revenge itself is a form of desire. So what he's doing is valid within the framework of the story, within the themes. And like Ace has been just going on about this whole show, is like, your desire is valid if you like truly fight for it. If that's what you truly want, fight for it, do it. You know? But is Keiwa really the kind of person capable of fighting for this revenge, for this anger and vitriol? I don't think so, and I think it's going to break down on him. I think something's going to break, and he's just not going to be able to handle it, and his friends will be able to be there to help support him. You know? I hope that's where it goes. I have a feeling that might be where it's going. And finally, from Esconde, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some nitpicks again with how the show handled things, but I'll save them for the end of the series unless it's something excuse me, Jesus, really glaring. Apologies for the incoming wall of text. Never apologize. It's cool. I really like this episode. Opening up with Geats 9 insert song was a treat. We even start on a totally, really hopeful note. Keiwa and Michinaga joining Ace's DGP, sharing what they learned about their supporters, and Keiwa saying something that addresses my complaints from last week. That he's still determined to get to DGP's victims and their lives back, but they need to focus on protecting what they have now. And that they also make the turn at the end of the episode a bit harder. I'm looking forward to how the writers will be handling Geats 9 story-wise, because on paper, it's a form that should be able to handle everything with its power and reshape the world. So far from this episode, it highlights that while Eight is a god of creation, on top of having limits to his wish-granting powers, we also see he's not all-knowing. Like Daichi said, he finally got one up on Ace because they didn't know about Stage 2 Shimato parasites. Baroba being there to rile Michinaga up, Michinaga not knowing that the Shimato he was dealing with was Sarah, and that the parasite took over her completely. Keikara having the time of his life as he watches Keiwa sink in despair as his plan reaches its conclusions. You already covered everything about Keiwa's reaction. I really feel for him. Losing the only family he had left, Michinaga gains even more respect in my book because he owns up to the responsibility, even if killing Sarah isn't entirely his fault. He didn't give the best answer, objectively, but it's an answer that fits the kind of person he is, I feel. Giving Keiwa something to aim his anger at, he's a man who wouldn't make excuses after what he did, and one who experienced the grief of losing someone he cared about. Based off of the DVP rule at the end of the episode, I believe that what happened is that Samuri resonated with Keiwa's immense rage with the people who did this to Sarah, which is what creates a Shogun form. Seeing it flicker at the light with the lightning into existence was amazing, and I can't wait to see it in action. I love the contrast of Shogun's black and Geats' 9 white. I hope Keikara is enjoying those laughs because I feel like it won't be long before a jet black Shogun sets his sights on him. I really do love how Keiwa Michinaga just immediately went to Ace and just told him everything. It's just like, hey, here's the situation. We could be all like weird and secretive and saying like, oh, they're blackmailing us. Like, no, here it is, all front. It just shows a great amount of trust that Ace has gained from all of them, and that hurts all the more because it's like you see it hurt the characters all the more because like now they're in this situation and they just can't go to Ace. What's Ace gonna do about this, right? And I think Geats 9 Boost 9 is very much like a very big power, but it has a long cooldown. Like he can do some cool stuff, but he can't do it repeatedly. You know, the whole thing with the parasite's also really cool because it's just like an extreme of what the DGP has been doing, which is sucking the desire out of others for their own gain. Now it's just sucking up like literal life energy stuff, right? Everybody was on point with that final scene, though. The glib sincerity of Michinaga, the quick emotions of Keiwa, just nailing everything. And I also wonder if Keiwa's final form has like The Shogun has a cape, and I wonder if that's a reference to Buffa's cape. It's just similar looking and vibe. Like Keiwa taking some of Michinaga's rage and aggression, and like ultimately that grief that Michinaga was feeling at the beginning of the series of someone I cared about dies, I want revenge. It's just that Keiwa has very direct people he can count on, that he can like point to as revenge, you know. And boy howdy, this episode, this episode, last week's episode, specials, all of it's just running on fucking cylinders. And hey, if you would like to see my talkabouts for the next few episodes, like this video, leave a comment. We'll talk about it next week, and subscribe to see this video and many more. I have several planned in the works. Please, 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 please give it a shot. Give it a check out. Until next time, keep on geek.